Hi, I'm Amy D. I'm a funny motivational speaker and a registered nurse. So I really understand that a career in healthcare can be both challenging and really rewarding. But today with this COVID crisis, I can only imagine what you are going through. So I am going to offer you a practice that you can use to decrease your stress and increase and strengthen your resilience. About 2.5 years ago, my beautiful father died in a hospice facility. And even though this was a really, really hard time for our family, the people in that facility made it so much better. They were all fantastic. The doctors, the nurse aides, the housekeepers, they were incredible. But there was one nurse, Dad's night nurse, and she brought the magic. Her name was Rhonda. And Rhonda was about my age. She had salt and pepper hair that she wore in this really short crew cut. She had tons of piercings lining both ears. And she had tattoos that started at her wrist, and I don't know where those things ended. She was unique. But what made Rhonda so magical is that when she came into our room and spoke with us, she was completely present. Completely present. Now, we knew that hospice facility was all full. We knew she had tons of other patients, but she was so present with us that we kind of felt like we were her favorite family. And to be honest, we looked forward to seeing her every evening. So the night before Rhonda died, I was helping her reposition my father. And I just had to ask her, I said, Rhonda, how can you stand this? I mean, you deal with death every day. And there's nothing you can do for these people. I mean, as a psychiatric nurse, I see a lot of really tough things, but at least we can give our patients medications. We can offer them therapy to help, but there's nothing you can do. And Rhonda straightened up and she said, well, it took me many years of nursing to realize that sometimes the greatest gift I can give my patient and the greatest gift I can give myself does not come in doing. It comes in just being. Just being. And when Rhonda left, I thought about what she'd said. And I thought, you know what? She's right. You see, Rhonda's magic didn't come from the procedures. It didn't come from what she did. She did everything right. She gave my dad his meds on time. She repositioned him, swabbed his mouth. But her magic came from being completely present with us. It came from her just being. Now, the doing mode is the cerebral part of our job. And in healthcare, we have to have this. This is where we prioritize. It's where we make lists. It's where we get things done. And it's incredibly important in healthcare. But sometimes we get so caught up in this doing mode that we can almost go into autopilot. You know, autopilot, where you're in one patient's room and you're talking to them and you're spiking an IV bag, but you're really thinking about the patient in the next room or rounding with the doctor. You're not completely present. In this autopilot mode, you rush through your tasks and you're always thinking, what do you have to do next? You're thinking about the past and you're thinking about the future, but you rarely spend time in that present moment. And when we are on autopilot, we can miss out on those beautiful everyday moments that happen throughout our shifts. The moments where we laugh with a coworker, or those moments where we find a deeper connection with our patients, or those moments where we savor a beautiful thank you note written by a family. And we get so caught up in this autopilot. We get so caught up in doing that we end up in this vicious cycle where we're doing and doing. And by the end of our shift, we're so numb, we can't even remember what we did. And we're exhausted. And this increases our stress level, and it decreases our life and our job satisfaction. So we need to find a balance between doing and being. Because in the being mode, we find space to find a deeper connection with our patients and our coworkers. In this being mode, we find space to reconnect with ourselves. In this being mode, we find a space to recharge our batteries and lower our stress. So, here are some tips to use to get into that being mode and to balance between doing and being. And the first is to find an anchor activity. An anchor activity where you concentrate on only the moment. So say you choose hand washing. So every time you go to wash your hands, you only think of being in that moment. You feel the water rushing over your hands and the soap. You become very present. You think of where you are emotionally. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? No judgment. You feel your feet on the ground. You become completely present in that moment. Another anchor activity could be when you pull out a favorite pen and start writing. Before you start writing, you use that as an anchor moment to become completely present. The University of Wisconsin developed a practice called the 3 Ps. And this practice is especially helpful if you are a healthcare worker that goes in and out of patients' rooms throughout the day. So what they suggest is that before you enter that patient's room, you put your hand on that door handle and you pause. And then you become present. And you just take that moment to feel whatever you're feeling, think about whatever you're thinking, to be present for whatever your physical feelings are. Don't have any judgment about that. And then you proceed. And you proceed with the intent to become fully present in that moment with that patient. Because this allows us to find a space to make a deeper connection, not only with our patient, but also with this profession. Because we got into healthcare for a reason. We want to help people. So I know that you are going through a really difficult time right now, but consider developing an anchor activity where you pause and you become present before you proceed. And remember what Rhonda said. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your patient and give yourself doesn't come in doing. It comes in just being.